Welcome to Motivation Equation Consulting. Teaching is learning and learning is teaching. I recently made a video about people who I think, based on my experiences, categories of people rather, who may be good candidates to be teachers. Now, there's a saying that I think it goes something like, people who can do something else do, and those who can't, they teach. That's untrue. Not everybody's able to educate. Even highly intelligent people can struggle with the science of making that information into a format, or conveying that information into a format that people can learn, understand, and then to assess that learning has actually taken place. There's a whole gambit of skills that go into those categories from point A to point Z. With that being said, I think that's the first category. If you just think teaching is simple and you can just walk in the classroom and, make a lecture, make a speech, put something on a chalkboard or put something on a smart board, and that automatically means learners across all spectrums are going to get it, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. Everything from communication skills to childhood psychology, even some adult psychology, because your mindset matters as well, in addition to those who may be observing you and whatever policies you have to adhere to and whatever curriculum you may be forced to use. It's not always as simple as people think it is, and most people who I've seen who don't have a respect for the profession don't usually make the best teachers. Two, if you actually don't like kids, I cannot understand why people who don't like kids get into education, but I've seen it over and over and over again. They're kids. They're going to do things that kids do. I don't care if you go to the most affluent neighborhood. As a matter of fact, those can actually be some of the most challenging situations, because when you're dealing with the mayor's son or the superintendent's nephew, true story, or somebody who's used to getting away with things in society because of who they're related to or who they know, or because this child's father is the president of the booster club and made a $50,000 donation to the football team or athletic program, and this rascal wants to get in your classroom and turn backflips and curse you out, and you don't like kids to begin with, that's a recipe for a disaster. So people who genuinely don't care about kids, I don't know if that's the profession you want to get into, unless you want to go into adult education. If you're not a lifelong learner yourself, the field changes, the requirements change, and they can change on a whim. Since that happens, if you're not willing to make adjustments, like I used to be a coach, when I realized that the type of athlete out there had changed versus what we were when in the 90s when I was an athlete. The last athlete I coached was my son, who won gold medals. Every time he ran at the Junior Olympics, he won a gold medal his first time out, a bronze the next time out, and a silver his last time. And eventually he started to get too muscular for the event that he ran, and he moved on to baseball and football. But that was the last athlete I coached, because I could coach him the old-fashioned way. The world is different now, people are different now, and essentially a more experienced coach sat me down and said, look, I understand why you're doing what you're doing. It's what your coach taught you, but it no longer applies. If you continue to coach like that, you won't have a team. I could not make that adjustment, so I decided to go ahead and exit coaching. As a matter of fact, I'm with my son right now at his summer football workouts. I pay trainers to train him. I put him in camps, but I don't even train him anymore because I'm just beyond that point in life. But I recognize that if you're not willing to change with society, or at least adapt to how to teach modern day children, And granted, you can still apply some old school methods, but it all won't apply. Some things are going to change. If you're not willing to understand how the kids think now, understand why they do what they do and how they learn, and understand that different children learn different ways, you may struggle in the field of education. If you're someone who has, let me say this a nice, gentle way, or the best I can, but just because you haven't had success in other areas doesn't mean you're going to make an excellent educator. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, many of the traits that I learned from the private sector actually aid me in the classroom and have aided me as a school administrator. But with that being said, I've seen some people go into teaching because they figure they can't do anything else, especially now that we're in a teaching shortage. And they may not come out and say that, but you can kind of pick up on what individuals probably struggled in whatever other industry they were in, and they got into teaching and they're still struggling. It's not something you do as a last-ditch effort and actually plan to be good at it. Let me see, are there any other areas I can think of right now, shooting from the hip, in which individuals may not be good teachers? Oh, if you're not patient, you don't win every battle immediately. You plant seeds, some grow fast, some grow later. Sometimes students come back after years of seemingly not paying attention, not being well disciplined, and that child can come back and say, hey, I'm a millionaire, it's because of you. I heard everything you were saying. You may be scratching your head like, wait a minute, you didn't listen. Yes, I did. I was just a goofball and being a kid, because they're kids. And then you may have some who make straight A's in high school and grow up to, and you wonder what happened to them. If that bothers you to not see results right away, and you actually do care, if you can't learn that concept, that may make your experience as an educator difficult as well. If I'm missing anything, put it in the comments, because this is designed to help other teachers. With that being said, just really take into consideration how important and how big of an undertaking it is to be an educator, should you decide to go into the field. But it is a field in which people are needed, and it is rewarding. And no, you won't get rich, but there aren't many jobs that will make you rich unless you're going to start a business on the side and invest your time and your money properly. No, you're not going to become a millionaire teaching. There are some areas you can go to, and I guess that's another one. If you're just wanting a job to where you're going to get paid six figures, you need to go into hard sciences and actually pursue that, or law, computer programming, or information technology, and maybe the medical field, if that's the case. But there's still going to be great sacrifice required. And if you're going to be an administrator, you know, there's a whole different set of rules that apply. I remember once at a training, there was this gentleman, he didn't realize he was sitting and speaking to a table full of teachers who had been administrators in the past, and he goes, one day you guys are going to hate me because I ain't going to be an administrator. And we just laughed at him and said, okay, kid, go for it. But that's a different video for a different day. Like, share, and subscribe. The information may help somebody. Motivation Equation Consulting signing off. You all have a great day. Teaching is learning, and learning is teaching.